he's back.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel dropped a brand new Daredevil Born Again Season 2 teaser trailer video because they've been filming for a while now. Jessica Jones has been on set filming scenes with Matt Murdock. Kristen Ritter is back. So a lot of questions about what's going on during Season 2. What are the Defenders doing? Because there was a lot of stuff that Mike Coulter was doing with Finn Jones in real life. They're both in New York City right now, and it doesn't seem like they're filming other TV series or movies. So what are they going to do during Daredevil Born Again Season 2? There's a bunch of footage, first looks that we have, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, of course I'll be doing episode videos for Season 2, just like I did for Season 1, for the original Netflix series, for all the different shows, the different Defenders series too. The funny thing about characters coming back from those old TV shows, I was actually in the middle of making an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. video about some of those characters coming back while this is all going down with the Daredevil stuff. That'll be something completely different. That's not tied to what's happening during Daredevil Born Again Season 2, though. This is just mostly about the Defenders characters coming back, starting with Jessica Jones. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. Just looking at some of the scenes that they're doing here, I know there are a ton of questions. Jessica Jones seems like she's helping out Matt on top of some buildings, scanning some other group from behind this giant sign, just trying to hide. They're probably filming day for night. If you don't know what that means, it's a technique that a lot of TV shows and movies use where they film scenes during the day and later during post-production tune the shots so that the light is really low and it looks like night. Because most of the time, most of Daredevil seems like it takes place at night. Because that's the whole idea, is that Matt has a huge advantage against normal people that he's going up against because he's able to sense them just as well in the dark than he is during the light. Way easier to be a vigilante at night than it is in broad daylight. First big question though, what is Jessica Jones doing during Daredevil Born Again Season 2? It seems like she's just going to be doing what she would normally be doing, like her normal skills, helping Matt investigate Kingpin and his anti-vigilante task force and what he's doing with the port, laundering billions of dollars that he was talking to Vanessa about, like billions with a B. His big teaser to her at the end of Season 1 was that they would be able to make more money than they ever could when he was just traditional Kingpin. Being Mayor Kingpin just elevates it, makes it way easier to make way more money.
We need an army.
Their big thing at the end of Season 1, when Karen Page was talking to Matt, said that they need to put an army together. That army probably begins with the Defenders and some of the other people that we saw in Josie's bar at the end. The reason why it was probably a bunch of randos in Josie's bar and Karen Page, like, where were all the Defenders? Why weren't they standing in Josie's bar? That would have been a much better teaser, is probably because when they filmed that scene, they hadn't completely finished all the contracts for all the Defenders characters to come back, and they probably wanted it to be a bigger surprise when Matt goes around and finds them and recruits them during the events of Season 2. We will probably get a moment like that where he actually tries to check in with them and gets them to help him out. But one of the big problems with Kingpin right now is the way that Kingpin has things set up is rather ingenious, and it's really, really hard for Daredevil to prove any wrongdoing on his part unless they literally catch him in the act of either killing someone or walking around with giant bags of cash at the port and then depositing them, like visibly depositing them in their personal accounts. Otherwise, it's very easy for Kingpin to explain things away or to just not be around, period, so he can claim ignorance, like, I don't know what you're talking about, port, illicit funds, money laundering, I don't know what you're talking about, there's no trace back to me. So that is one of the big problems they have during Season 2 they have to solve, but they've already pretty much guaranteed they're going to do Daredevil Born Again Season 3, so they probably want to completely solve every single problem during Season 2, but Season 2 will also probably introduce larger villains that they'll deal with in Season 3, like they're not going to completely push all the Kingpin stuff to Season 3. And because you've been hearing about a bunch of delays like Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars both got delayed till Christmas 2026 and Christmas 2027, Marvel's pulling way back on their TV output, their movie output just in general. Part of the idea is they said they want to get back to the point where they're releasing Daredevil Born Again seasons every single year. Now, they didn't say they're going to do it forever, like they're not going to be like 7 seasons of Daredevil Born Again, but it is pretty possible that they just continue doing Daredevil Born Again Season 4 and so on and so forth, just rolling in more of the classic TV characters. What'll probably wind up happening long term, though, is that eventually they'll set up other spin-off shows, so like the characters that they bring back, like the Defenders characters, will also go on to other TV series that they develop.
Uh-oh. You got that look in your eye again.
Next big question, what has Jessica Jones been doing since Jessica Jones Season 3? Because that canonically takes place after the events of the Defenders, like the last time they were actually all teamed up together. Last we saw at the end of Season 3, Trish Walker, Hellcat, had just been arrested and sent to the Raft. She had already gotten her power, so like she'd become more comic book Hellcat. So she's with Baron Zemo and a bunch of the other characters like President Ross, Red Hulk, former President Ross technically. Jessica Jones had been in the hospital recovering from her final fight during that series. She's super strong. She has a limited ability to fly. They briefly tease that on the Jessica Jones Netflix series. What I'm assuming is they'll probably have another moment like that during Daredevil Born Again Season 2, where they might just make her hover. I don't know if she'll outright fly like Sentry flies the traditional way you would expect someone to fly across the screen. But I think part of the idea is that the same thing that happened to Punisher and Daredevil during the 5-year time jump happened to Jessica Jones. Like, she probably didn't get snapped, and she had just reformed Alias Investigations at the end of Season 3. So she's probably just been doing that for the last several years since the events of Season 3 ended, just helping people and earning money on the side as a PI for Jerry Hogarth. Probably one of the other biggest things that we just saw recently, very sus, is that Mike Coulter and Finn Jones were talking to each other on Instagram. They're both in New York City, both doing mystery projects, like wondering, there doesn't seem like they're filming other TV series or movies. So a lot of people were just like, they're probably in New York City to be on Daredevil Born Again Season 2 at some point. And most scoopers out there, like obviously this isn't verified because these are just scoopers talking about this, is that everybody seems to think that all the Defenders characters will show up during Daredevil Born Again Season 2. It won't just be Jessica Jones in Daredevil. This isn't guaranteed that they're all going to be on screen together, but there is a solid chance that they give us at least a small moment with them together and tease some bigger team up in Season 3 and beyond. So the next big question is, what are they going to do after Daredevil Season 2, Season 3 of this new show? Like, what are they going to do with all these other characters? There's Heroes for Hire. Finn Jones has actually been talking about wanting to do Heroes for Hire, bringing back Jessica Henwick's Colleen Wing. I've already talked a lot about that because Jessica Henwick separately said that she actually turned down a role in the first Shang-Chi movie a couple years ago because it meant she wouldn't be able to come back as Colleen Wing. Like, she would have had to completely become this other new character. But one of the other really notable Easter eggs during Daredevil Born Again Season 1, when Kingpin was giving his New Year's Eve address, there was a huge Luke Cage Easter egg on the billboards in Times Square for the nightclub that he had taken over at the end of Luke Cage. He had basically taken over Harlem, and they were going to deal with that during Luke Cage Season 3 had they made that, like, before the show got canceled. During the comic book arc that they're adapting right now with Mayor Kingpin, at the end of that, Luke Cage winds up running for mayor against Kingpin as one of the ways that they tried to get rid of him. But it does seem like the new creative team that's working on Season 2, like the new creative team that Kevin Feige hired after he fired the old creative team on Daredevil Born Again Season 1, the one that the actors have actually been trashing just a little bit, sounds like they've been reading everybody's social media posts, just trying to deliver for the fans. Like, oh, very clearly, we want to see the Defenders come back at some point. Separately from all this, there's still the Punisher special presentation that they're doing alongside Season 2. They've already revealed that they're going to be dropping Daredevil Born Again Season 2 in March next year, long before Avengers Doomsday. So, like, it'll take place in New York City before the events of Avengers Doomsday. That's how they get around, like, all the craziness with the multiverse stuff. Same thing will probably happen during the Punisher special presentation. They didn't list exactly when they were going to release that, but supposedly it was going to be around the time that they were releasing Daredevil Born Again Season 2, either like a little bit before or a little bit after, not while Daredevil episodes were dropping, before or after. But it'll also take place before the events of Avengers Doomsday. Here's the thing with that, though. How do they deal with Daredevil Born Again Season 3 if they don't want that to take place on Battleworld? Because it would release between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. My assumption when it comes to something like that is that they won't address Avengers Doomsday stuff at all. Like, maybe very, very light references to something crazy happening, and they'll just say that it takes place like days after the events of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. So technically, in the timeline, it takes place before Avengers Doomsday still, even though it's releasing the year after. Usually when it comes to timeline questions like that, things are way, way simpler the way they present them than it actually sounds on paper, so I wouldn't worry too much about that stuff. But it would be really cool to actually see them try to set a movie or TV shows on Battleworld. Personally, I just think it raises too many issues long term, and it's easier for them to try and step around it just to move stuff in the timeline so they don't have to deal with that.
We got a plan.
They kind of ran into these problems when they were doing the original Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series because they started that series wanting it to be super connected to the Marvel movies because it was all about S.H.I.E.L.D. and they destroyed that organization in the movies without telling the TV people that they were going to be doing that. The real big upside to that right now is that there's fewer people that are making the TV shows and overseeing all that stuff, and they're also the same people who are overseeing the movies. Like Kevin Foggy has his hand in all the TV shows and the movies right now, so it's easier for them to step around big landmines like that. But everyone post all your reactions in the comments below and let me know what you want them to do with all the other Defenders characters after Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Season 3, like however long that show winds up running. Still working on that separate video about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters that will be coming back. Not everybody, but some of them will come back in some of the future TV stuff. I just did a much bigger video on why they delayed Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, and gutted their Marvel Phase 6 movie schedule. Like they canceled a bunch of other movie dates too. Click here to learn about that, and click here for my brand new Spider-Man Brand New Day video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Everybody just wondering what Spider-Man is doing during all these Daredevil episodes. Like, is he just out here swinging around while Mayor Kingpin is trying to mess everything up?